Hey guys, just making this video today to walk you through the automated content engine that I have built that uses Claude Code, Trigify, Apify, Notion, and Supabase in the back end. So the main goal of this is basically to automatically keep track of content that's coming out from my favorite creators, who are all sort of general AI creators, as that is the content that I'm going to be producing. I want to see what's being talked about a lot, and also while we collect that, we're also going to be scraping their transcripts so I can learn how to make better content, how to script better content, and also how we can feed that information into our Claude Code skills, which help me with content generation. In terms of how the whole system works, I'm going to open up this tab here and I'll be able to walk through how we go from scraping to shipping content. So first things first, every morning I have an automated cron that triggers Apify, that triggers the YouTube scrapes, processes their transcripts, and pushes all of those into Supabase. Then every morning in Notion, I wake up and I've got this. I've got a daily brief where we've got 6 YouTube videos from my favorite creators. We've got 2 Instagram reels for inspiration that I could work off of. And a reason why I do this is because I'm a one-man team right now. These big creators, I'm sure, have people curating the content that they should be posting, and this is my way to do that, to curate the topics that people are actually caring about. Yeah, I may be a day late compared to these guys, but this is a pretty efficient way to do it for me. So I'm going to come into my Notion page, check in here, see if this description of what's going on is interesting to me, and if I'd like to make a video on it, if I think my audience is actually going to find it interesting at all. And then, yeah, okay, cool. Sounds like a plan to me. Maybe I'll use that. Then I am going to come back into Claude Code and I'm going to invoke the first skill, which is make content. And then it's going to interview me with any of these 5 skills here. Once we've got the scripts done, we're then going to go into the lead magnet building, where we've got a lead magnet builder for Instagram and we've got a lead magnet builder for YouTube and LinkedIn. To be honest, they are quite similar. However, I think sometimes, as I do intend to post an Instagram reel every day, the Instagram lead magnet is going to be a bit more lightweight, or it has permission to be a bit more lightweight. Once we've created that, it's down to me, and then we're going to be recording, writing, uploading the PDF into Kit, creating a landing page, and hopefully reeling some emails in for further marketing. So yeah, without further ado, let me walk you through what this looks like in practice. So as I mentioned, first thing I come in here is I'm going to come into my daily brief and see, are there any ideas which I'd like to make a video on? Here's the Instagram ones, and here are the YouTube ones, already split up into different types. Pardon me. Okay, very interesting. Let's say I like the look of this one. I am going to copy this. I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to come into my cursor and then I'm going to go make content, invoke the first skill. Then it's going to ask me which out of my 6 content types am I going to want to make. Let's say for today I'm going to want to make an Instagram reel. It's then going to ask me for the URL of the post which we have had in the daily brief, and then all I simply have to do is paste that in there, and it's going to then go and query Supabase and pull in the transcripts, get a real full understanding of what the post is actually about, and give its opinion on what I could produce, which would resonate with my audience. And I've given this Instagram scripts writing skill lots of knowledge in terms of who I'm writing for. In my case right now, I'm going to be writing for a general audience who are interested in AI, and then I'm going to be using examples that are applicable to e-com stores, as that's my ICP for my business. So yeah, I'm going for sort of mass interest in the first half of the video, and then with the applications, it's going to be e-com relevant. So yeah, we'll wait a second here. You can see it calling Notion, calling Supabase, and then it's going to come back here with a take on what I should make for the video. And here we go. Now we've got Claude's wonderful opinion on what we should create. Firstly, actually, we've got the source's take, which is just recapping what the reel already included. It's basically saying to use Claude Code for content or marketing, you need to master taste, and you can do this by dropping in a markdown file with examples of how you actually speak and some rules. And its recommended path is basically telling me to sort of not pivot or share a different idea to what the original source was already making, as it's a good idea. It says the core mechanic is correct. I already live this, which is true because I've already instructed all of my markdown files in a similar way. Yeah, so it's saying the take that I should use is pretty similar, and then what I can add, this is giving ideas which sort of lean towards a Shopify context, an e-commerce context, as that's the feedback that I've given in the past. Let me have a quick look here. Yeah, it sounds good to me. Let's just say that for the sake of today. In reality, I might refine those things that I add a bit more in the future, but for this video, that is good enough for now. So yeah, second phase here, it's basically recapping the evidence that was in the original reel to see if I can cherry pick any of those stats and re-put it into mine. So yeah. Seems pretty interesting to me, to be honest, and seems pretty transferable. This is not, I don't deem this as plagiarism because this is just objective truths. If I disagree with any of this ever, I can say, no, I don't want to publish that. But in this case, this is almost how I run my own Claude Code markdown files for brand and voice anyway. So it's, I would say, honestly, put in more inputs of your own writing than 3 to 5. I do have a kill list in terms of what vocab to not say. So yeah, honestly, I'd be happy with this. Let's go. I approve that. And then I'm going to be asked another question here, where it's going to ask me who I'm actually making this for. In this case, yeah, it can be general. I've got two options here, and these are going to be, are these videos which are like kind of more centered towards the ecom crowd, or are you happy for this one to be a top of funnel reel where I'm posting it for anyone? And then next up, we're going to go into phase 4. And then in phase 4, I am going to be given some ideas for content which I can include in the reel. These are going to be quick fire applications or things that you can add on to the main point. So for example, 1A could be the kill list, which we've mentioned. Let's say, let's not use rule of 3. Let's not use, it's not this, it's not that, it's this, blah, 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 loads of AI rubbish. Then, for example, it has the 3 to 5 examples. I would pump that up. So let's say I like A, I want to change B so that it is 10 plus examples of your own writing rather than 3 to 5. And then let's pick the last one. Yeah, C is going to be helpful as well. We can tell people where to actually put this file. So yeah. And it gives you picks as well, as you think's the sort of, as it can pick which ones you think would resonate most with my ICP, with what I've shared there. But I picked a different array. And I believe, I don't know if there's one more question or not, but we might go from here and building me a script. I think before that, we're going to decide on some GIFs for me to record behind my head. But let's just have a look at this. What's it asking me here? It's telling me my locked pics. Interesting. So it's saying don't inherit quantitative claims from the source verbatim. So this is crazy. It's already telling me that, or it's already seeing that I don't want to copy the 3 to 5 exactly. My real practice often differs, which is true. Yeah, okay. Explain to me simply the full application of this suggested rule, and maybe we just want to fully understand what's going on here. I'm doing this here, not keeping this a super polished video, just because this is firsthand the kind of interesting stuff that Claude Code can add into your systems, and it can help you as you go along. So I want to fully understand this before I say yes. So it says, the problem when your creator says a number of examples, you just copied it, but that's his number from his video. Yeah. Nice, okay. Where it would apply. So it's basically anytime there's a number being copied from the original source, in an example, we may change it. Or it's going to ask me what number I want to say rather than copying it exactly. Nice. And I think one reason that I've done this is that within this, or one reason, pardon me, that Claude Code has done this is that within this skill, I have told it and built within it to self-heal. There's a feedback log, so anytime I give feedback, it's going to save into a feedback section, which is at the top of the MD file, the skill file. So every time I use the skill again, it's going to go through the feedback log, apply that or understand that, and then go into the skill. As you can see here, we're in feedback log. So yeah, this is really interesting here. And now we're moving on to phase 5. I appreciate your patience here, guys. I hope this is still engaging. We're going to have an end product soon enough. So now it's going to ask me my hooks. Yep, let's just go with B. I'm not going to be posting this one. This is just for the sake of an example. But I went against Claude's recommended idea, and we picked B. I suppose it is generic, but the game's the game. Okay, and then I know I mentioned it just now, but at some point it's going to prompt me to think of what kind of content I can include in the back of my reel. So it's not just a talking head, there's going to be examples showing after I've edited it to keep people engaged and give them an idea of what we're actually including. This is asking me some aesthetic stuff in terms of what I want to lay on the thumbnail of the Instagram reel. So let's just say A. I'm happy with A, and then we'll go. Yeah, I'm happy with caption. So it's proposed a caption, and this stuff here is what I've trained it as to what I want the aesthetic to be on the thumbnail in the actual video. So this would inform my editing inside of CapCut. And also we've got a lead. We will make a lead magnet using the lead magnet skill in this video. But it just puts a placeholder in here now, as the comment for X word is decided when we use the lead magnet skill. I think this process here isn't like I'm going to finish something in 5 minutes, and I think there is probably going to be space to streamline it as I use it more and more, but what it does do is give me a fully informed plan of how I can actually go about this video, and it takes a lot of the mental strain out of this, and it's more approval and giving feedback rather than doing the heavy work and the thinking. So as I've been banging on about, finally we've got to the GIF choreography section. With the 3 listicle items that I mentioned earlier, Claude has gone away and thought, what is going to be interesting to show in the background that relates to those 3 listicle items? So we've got the kill list, which in this case can just be, I can have the brand voice markdown file open, scroll down to the don't section, and just show them that, and that will just be scrolling in the background above my head on this person's phone when they're watching the reel. Then the second one is going to be a LinkedIn post screenshot. Yeah, I see. So it's cycling through real artifacts that I have input into the file, which is the inspiration and the guidance on how I want to write. And it's stuff like that. I'm not going to go through C&D, but you get the gist. I think it's just stuff to visualize what I'm actually talking about in the script. It's given me some nice production prep notes. So I need to create a brand voice markdown file. I need to have an account for Claude Code, blah, 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 blah. Nice. It sounds good. Let's do these. Approve full bundle. And then it's going to produce a script for me to read word for word on this reel. And it's got my voice through a pretty similar process to the topic that we're actually talking about in this imaginary reel. We've added in a brand voice markdown file inside my cursor, or inside this Claude Code project rather, and that's what it's going to be building off of. And here we go. Here is the final reel. So pretty much we've got the spoken script here, blah blah, hook, context beat, item 1, item 2, item 3, and along with the GIFs as well, inserted there as to where I need to overlay them in the background. Here, in terms of the title card, this is going to be a bit hard to visualize, but this is some what I'm going to be putting on the thumbnail pretty much. So no need to think too much about that. Then we've got the caption, got our hashtags, and yeah, here's the comment keyword, which is going to be filled when we use the lead magnet creator in a second. And then here's the choreography, here's the production prep. So let's say lock. Let's move on to making the IG lead magnet. And from here, we're going to invoke the Instagram lead magnet skill. It's going to read the post, and it's going to have a think and a browse on the internet as to see what is going to be actually an interesting lead magnet here. It's going to give me suggestions and also give me the opportunity to feedback. Okay, so as you can see here, Claude Code has come back with an idea, or well, sort of an analysis of my post as the first step of the lead magnet generation. We have been using this second skill here, which is the Instagram lead magnet creator. So the core capability of what I've just discussed is basically allowing people to speak in their own voice rather than letting the AI, the LLM, speak in its own. The gap that the viewer has to implementing this has been outlined by ABC, which is they don't have a file template to copy. They don't have any idea of the actual common AI-isms to drop into the don't use list. And then also they don't really have a step-by-step for how to actually use this or apply this. So yeah, what I've said here is pretty much, yeah, I agree. But I think that I had an idea for the lead magnet basically. So I was thinking we could include an interview, a mock interview or a template interview, which the user can then paste into their Claude Code and get Claude to ask it those questions, which should hopefully bring out all of the relevant information that the brand voice markdown file would need to be helpful. And then in addition to that, we could include a list of common AI-isms to ban, and then also a step-by-step as to how to actually use this, as this is super easy. It's then we've gone on to phase 2, and it's gone through the worthiness gate, which is basically it deciding whether it thinks a lead magnet is actually worth it. And obviously, because I've had an amazing idea, it is worth it. So I'm going to write approve, let's go, and then it's going to take me on to phase 3. And here on the next stage, it's given me a directions menu. As in this skill, there are 13 different types of lead magnets which I've uploaded. And here it's picking out of the 13 the ones that I think would be the best. So I think, honestly, as I've already had the idea, I think it's going to be a combination of all of these. So I'm going to tell it. I think the lead magnet that I want to create is going to be a combination of the directions that I've uploaded into this skill. I think these are the 3 things I want it to contain. I want it to contain a 5-question interview that the reader can then paste into their Claude Code and ask Claude Code to interview it with those 5 questions, with the intention of extracting all of the necessary information and examples of content that it would take to create a amazing brand voice markdown file for them to use. Yeah, and then after that, we can have a common list of AI-isms that they shouldn't use, AI terms that they shouldn't use. And in addition to that, at the bottom, there should be a very simple step-by-step, as it's only really installing a markdown file. So yeah, I think it should be a 3-part lead magnet, which is a combination of the ones that you've just presented to me. Is this doable? It is doable, but I want confirmation. So yeah, we'll wait and see what that says. And here we can see now we have got the locked lead magnet back to us. It's giving us a recap. It's going to say the interview is going to be 2 to 3 pages. We've got the AI-isms to ban, and we've got where to put it. And this is the important thing here, which I've baked in, is that before we write, we're going to dispatch a quick research agent to confirm what the content of the lead magnet is. Well, pardon me. it's going to dispatch a research agent to make sure what we're putting in the lead magnet is actually true, because I won't be very popular if I'm dispatching crap. So yeah, all we can do now is we're going to say, yeah, go do some research. I want to say as well, make sure to actually find some interesting stuff for the AI-isms that people shouldn't use, and don't pull back rubbish. I need more than just don't use M dashes. Feel free to look at a couple blogs on the internet to see what people are saying. Okay, so we can actually make sure that we're putting valuable stuff in there. And then, once it goes away, does its research, confirms, and potentially amends what we're writing, it will produce an actual HTML output, which we can then turn into a PDF, and that is our lead magnet done. So, honestly, this is a bit of a longer video, but this is basically all of the leg room of an Instagram reel with GIFs, with it showing in the background, fairly high, like moderately high production, more than just a talking head, you know, with a lead magnet, which we're going to be able to hand out all in about 20 minutes. Obviously, it's going to take maybe another 10-20 minutes to film and edit, but this could easily be handed off to a team member, stuff like that. So I think it's taking out a lot of the thinking for me in terms of what I'm going to produce, and I think maybe the biggest help is creating a lead magnet for every post, whereas before it would take a lot of effort to do that. So yeah, I'm going to pause, let this do its research, build the PDF, and I'll come back then. Okay, and here we are after about 5 minutes or so. It went away and did some research, and then it's come back and built the PDF. As you can see here, it's given me a recap here as to what it's going to contain, so I can check everything. Here are the examples. I'm happy with everything. Here's the how-to on where to save it, and then I said make the PDF and open it in Chrome, and then it has done exactly that. So I've already obviously put my brand aesthetic guidelines in there. So it's gone away and built this. It's got the interview here. Paste this into Claude Code, and it's going to be able to help you to conduct the interview. Here are the AI-isms to ban: sentence structures, vocabulary, structural, rhetorical, tone, all that jazz. And then here is the tutorial on where to save it. And then at the end, there is a beautiful CTA page where you can come and give me money. So yeah, but in all seriousness, if you are a e-com business with multiple Shopify stores struggling to get to grips with your data, Perch.la, that's my agency. We work at bringing all of your data into one place and actually allowing you to see true profit. But that's besides the point. This is overall a recap of what my content engine does, and this is just one example of a flow. For example, I could make a long YouTube video, a short YouTube video, LinkedIn posts, Instagram reels, all of that jazz through this sort of interactive flow with Claude Code. Yeah, I think that's that. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please feel free to drop me any questions down in the comments. If you're curious about me building something for you like this, feel free to book a meeting in my calendar, which you can find in the links on my YouTube channel. But yeah, other than that, have a lovely day, guys. Cheers.